One of the biggest problems facing conservatives today is, well, I'm sad to say, the Republican Party. I am now at a point where I am calling for the revival of the Tea Party movement. I don't know what else to do. Grassroots conservatives need to once again tell the Republicans, beholden to the administrative state in Washington, we the people are not going to accept losing our nation to Team Biden any longer. We will not accept the push towards communism, and we sure as hell aren't going to back so-called leaders who now appear to be resigned to losing. Republicans want you to believe that this so-called bipartisan infrastructure deal is a victory. It is not. In fact, the moment Republicans left the negotiating table with what they thought was a deal, Team Biden pulled a bait and switch, a deal and dupe, making the wussified Republicans who negotiated the so-called compromise all look foolish.
This bill, as well, the infrastructure bill, as well as voted on the budget resolution. And that's when they'll, but if only one comes to me, I'm not, if this is the only thing that comes to me, I'm not signing it. It's in tandem.
We in the Senate and the House will be able to procure in the two Build Back Better bill, in the two bills we are doing, the traditional infrastructure bipartisan bill and in the budget reconciliation bill.
There won't be an infrastructure bill unless we have a reconciliation bill. Plain and simple.
Plain and simple. Of course there won't be, because Democrats don't negotiate. They take no prisoners. They certainly don't compromise. You know who compromise? Well, only our Republican leaders compromise. The same leaders who sadly embrace their role as the minority in Washington. Like the idea of negotiating and compromising is some kind of a good thing. It's not. Even when they get their butts handed to them, these same Republicans will look you in the eye and tell all of us that somehow we're winning when we are not. They need to knock it off. The most maddening part of this is that they must somehow think all of us are just plain dumb. This is Republican Senator Bill Cassidy from bright red Louisiana, of all places.
Not only do we have the roads and the bridges and the tunnels, but we also have the other infrastructure which will protect those roads and bridges and tunnels. There's a lot here to like. It's a good bill.
No, it is not a good bill. Think about it, okay? Think about what Team Biden just did. They get Republicans to believe they got a compromise on spending. No Green New Deal initiatives, no new taxes in this infrastructure bill. They wait for the Republicans to hail themselves as victorious, then they drop the bomb. All the horrible leftist initiatives left out of the infrastructure bill will now be promptly inserted into the reconciliation spending bill, which the Democrats can pass because with reconciliation, the filibuster in the Senate is null and void. And all that's left for Republicans to do is complain and cry foul when they never should have been negotiating in the first place.
An expression of bipartisanship and then an ultimate on behalf, and then an ultimatum on behalf of your left-wing base. But really, caving completely in less than 2 hours, that's not the way to show you're serious about getting a bipartisan outcome.
I hate to break the news to everybody, but that man is disappointing. You see, even Mitch McConnell got duped. Does he truly believe that Joe Biden negotiated in good faith and that Biden caved to the radical left? That's what he believes? Biden didn't cave to the radical left. This two-bill budget buster was part of the $6 trillion plan all along. They knew what they were doing, which means the Republicans in D.C. are either naive or they're nefarious. And sadly, recently, I'm opting for the latter, especially when it comes to anti-Trump, pro-ruling class Mitt Romney when he's involved.
I do take the president at his word, and over the weeks and weeks of negotiations with Democrats and with the White House on an infrastructure bill, the president's other agenda was never linked to the infrastructure effort.
Folks, I'm gonna go ballistic. I really am, and it's the start of the show, and I don't want to go ballistic. But he takes the president at his word. To think I went to Western Pennsylvania and campaigned for Mitt Romney when he ran for president. Come on, Mitt Romney. Here's my question. When we held the House and the Senate and the White House under President Trump, why in the world didn't Republicans use reconciliation to jam through pro-freedom, pro-America agendas? The reason is they just don't know how to fight. Now, here's the thing. President Trump taught these feckless Republicans that fighting is possible. He showed them how to do it. But the moment my guy leaves office, I'm talking about President Trump, Republicans in Washington go back to acting like delicate flowers, wilting from the oppressive heat put on by the left. And again, if ever there was a time for a Tea Party movement again, I'm telling you folks, it's right now. This is what Stinchfield's army is all about.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.